Testing one, two, testing one, two. Testing one, two, testing one, two. We are back looking for the same thing. Let's play our disclaimer. Standing up. Jesus Christ. Come on. Where is it? Waiting on Dr. Moore to arrive.
Disclaimer, warning, the content will examine phenomena that some would find offensive, inappropriate, insensitive and triggering. This content neither suggests, nor implies, medical or any other professional advice. Discussion and his therapist friend engaged in hypothetical conversation often bring. Wait the following cues and content associated or affiliated with this or any other platform that this podcast may be accessed. All information and opinion are independent expression of free speech that a reasonable person may freely consider adapting or opposing in their own paradigm.
Amen. That's enough. That's enough of that shit. Let's get back to Dr. Moore has arrived. Let me let him into the Zoom chat. Let's start the recording. Bitch. Assalamu alaikum, brother.
Peace to the God.
Peace to the universe. What's going on?
Not much, bro. Not much. Well, I shouldn't say not much. I just been moving and grooving, bro.
Yes, sir.
The summer is upon us, and I have been all over the place.
Have you been to any Doodoo Brown Tootsie Roll concerts, brother?
Oh yeah, absolutely. Absolutely, bro. I've been to a concert probably every weekend. My wife is a concert person, so yeah. In fact, last Friday I was at the Usher Chris Brown concert.
Get out of here.
Yeah, that was a doozy. I looked over at my wife at some point and I said, you probably should have came here with your daughter. I mean, because it was almost like a live strip club.
Right.
I mean, it's just booty cheeks all over the place, but it's crazy. Like I said, bro, I've been to concerts like every week, bro. I went to see Jill Scott. I went to see Bruno Mars. Just every week there's something happening. In fact, because this is Saturday night. So typically we go on a Friday night, but my Fridays have been so booked. And Saturday is typically a date night, but we actually went to dinner early and got home early. So this is probably the most free time I've had, you know, in a couple of months, and probably in a couple more months. I mean, a couple more weeks. So, but yeah, man, it's just been. I've been, out of town, in town, out of town, in town, out of town. Um, with events and things like that.
Yes, sir.
So yeah, I've been on the move, bro.
Wow. Well, that's good to hear, brother. I'm doing well. I'm laughing at anybody that tries to come against me or oppose me. So that's my activities is fighting off these demons. Some
Who
of
be
my own and some of outside surroundings.
opposing you to doing for doing what?
I'm fighting off my demons, those that are inside me and the ones that oppose me from the outside. And I'm winning, brother. I'm winning.
Mm.
I'm knocking them all out the box. Knock them out the box, Rick. Mama said, knock you out. So that's been my activity uh, for this long departure. Welcome back to the audience. You're listening to Black Mental Health and Race. I've already played the disclaimer, Dr. Moore. Um, I wanted to start because we've only got like 60 minutes. I wanted to start with a tribute to Mother Khadija Farrakhan, who
Mm-hmm.
passed away. I just wanted to say rest in power to the goddess and the strength to the Nation of Islam to continue on.
Yeah, bro. My condolences to the family. Also, really devastating news. I didn't even know that Sister Khadija Farrakhan was ill.
Right.
But I did see something a couple of weeks, months back. Um, I saw her in a wheelchair, and I
Right.
saw the minister in a wheelchair.
Yeah.
And I thought, and seeing, I was like, wow. Um, you know, but I was attributing that to age,
Hmm.
um, and not necessarily health issues. And I don't know that they had even put out health issues as it relates to either one of them. So I was really surprised that she passed away.
Hmm.
I was really disturbed with um, there's a local brother here, who
Hmm.
he he did a series, and you may have heard about it. A Malcolm X series doc that he put out um, a while back about who assassinated Malcolm X, and he had done this research where it went back to you know through the archives and all this other stuff, and he um, revealed, and I'm putting up air quotes, um, who actually killed Malcolm X, and he put out a I don't know if it was a book or a docu series or one of them.
Hmm.
Um, but this guy really seems to have a stick up his butt for Minister
Hmm.
Farrakhan. But he made a comment that was really disturbing to me about the nation and Sister Khadija's passing, where he commented saying um, he doesn't understand how the nation, someone in the nation had said something about she's gone home to be with Allah. And his comment was something like, um, he doesn't understand how the nation could make a comment like that when they don't believe in heaven or hell. Um, but, but I, my issue with this brother is, you know, you can believe what you want to believe, how you want to believe in terms of, you know, if you're Orthodox, that's fine. If you are whatever else that you are, it's fine. But I really have an issue with people that feel like their belief is the belief, and their belief um, supersedes anyone else's belief, and that they can show and prove that their belief system is the belief system for everybody, and everybody should adopt or believe the way that they believe. That's the
Right.
issue that I have. You know, um, I don't really care what kind of Muslim you consider yourself, what kind of Christian you consider yourself. I'm humble enough to know that I don't know what
Hmm.
happens in the afterlife, right? And I don't believe that because of what I believe Islam did for me and what Islam did for my understanding um, of who and what the Creator to be. I don't believe that is the route necessarily for everybody, because
Exactly.
I don't know that it will do for them what it did for me,
Right.
right? And so I wouldn't, and that's one of the issues I always have with you on this podcast is, you know, the you know, sometimes you, or a lot of times you phrase the podcast in a way of saving people, and I, you know,
Let's
or
save them
somewhat,
all, brother.
you know, or somehow it's something we might say might save somebody, and you know, which is not my goal or my intention at all. You know,
Yes.
is to come on here and feel like I can save anybody, because you know, I don't see myself as a savior, and I don't think I can save anybody. You know, what I do believe is that if you happen to listen to this podcast, and if there's something that you hear that sparks something in you, that it is not me, you know, that save you. It is that is already within you that resonated with something that I said. So I'm not the savior. The savior is in fact within you that saved yourself.
Amen. I
So
agree, brother.
I'm sorry, I didn't mean to go off on a tangent. I know we started
No,
off talking about Sister
that's
Khadijah,
fine.
but
That's exactly what this program is for, to explore and exchange ideas. And nobody's idea is better than the other. It's when we get to accusations that we fall apart as a people. Um, Brothers like the one that pushed this Malcolm narrative that Malcolm X and the real Islam is the way to go. So be it. So have at it. As you once told me, how's that working out for you? Our point here tonight was to give a dedication to Mother Khadijah, the mother of the Nation of Islam, currently under the leadership of the Honorable Louis Farrakhan. May she rest in peace and rest in power. The nation is getting older, brother, and we're getting older. And I tried to have a grace for everyone in their ignorance, or maybe, as you said, I may be wrong in all of this. It's hard to tell, but we know what's working for each of us individually. Whether it works for a collective, as you stated, remains to be seen.
mhm. Yeah, I, like I said, bro. I mean, I am not one of those people. I am no longer one of those people that is looking to save all the black people. You've heard me say that repeatedly, um, but it comes from a place of not that I'm apathetic or that I'm being selfish. I just think that I'm being um, authentic in me believing that there is no one way um, for people or black people to get it right. Because I think it can. I mean, it can come in so many not disguises, but guises. Because it's not really it. I don't really see it as a disguise, but I think that you can get the truth, or a truth, um, based on the road that you go down.
Hmm.
Um, and so I don't want to. Um, I don't want to give the premise that it has to be a particular way
Hmm.
because I don't think that it has been. I think that where people go wrong is that they feel like it has to be a certain way, right?
Hmm.
One of the things you and I, we're old friends, right?
Yes, sir.
Um, so we go back a long ways. And one of the things that you would be telling me, like some of the problems or struggles that you would have, is that you would be in school or you would be on a mission to something, and if it didn't happen a certain way, then
Hmm.
you would like abandon or abort ship. Like it had to be this way.
Right.
I make all A's. You know, my wife gotta do this, or I gotta do this, and that to me is the quickest way to never accomplishing anything,
Hmm.
right? And not being successful at anything because early on I talked to you about dichotomous thinking, right?
Right.
And dichotomous thinking is all or nothing,
Hmm.
right? And what I've learned is funny. I was having a conversation with my wife earlier. Um, no, I'm sorry, I didn't. Wasn't her. I was
Hmm.
having a conversation with my cousin,
Hmm.
and I was saying to him, what I've learned, about myself is like and I attribute this to Islam for me.
Hmm.
Um, I don't believe that anything magically happens. Like you don't just meet somebody and then you're magically together forever, right? You don't just wake up and all of a sudden you have a degree, a college degree. You don't just wake up and things are just magically there, right? You don't just wake up and all of a sudden you got great health. You know, I'm
And
a
nor
person,
can you pray for them that way.
right. You know, so um,
You got to put
I,
in that work.
exactly. I don't have a doctoral degree because I just woke up and it just happened.
Hmm.
You know what I'm saying? And I've spent like, you know, damn near 20 plus years,
Hmm.
almost 20 years, working on, you
Right.
know,
Of
um,
education.
of education. That wasn't, what I'm saying? I didn't just wake up and, boom, here I am. That didn't just happen like that. You know what I'm saying? I'm not
You put in the
married,
work.
20 over 20 plus years
Hmm.
because, you know,
Academic pursuits.
because I just woke up and all of a sudden me and my wife was married for 20 years. No, I put in, there was a lot of work. Same way
Hmm.
with, if you look at my Instagram or whatever, and somebody says, "Hey man, you gain some muscles, you work out." Yeah, because I've been working out for 20 plus years.
Hmm.
You know, so I don't believe nothing just magically, you
Hmm.
know, happens. So um I believe that, and so that's what I'm saying. I don't believe that any um one way of religion or whatever your path is, you know, is going to work for you. I mean, so I believe that whatever it is that you say you believe in, you have to do the work.
Right.
You have to do the work, and so um And that's why I say I don't believe in a mystery God. I don't believe in things magically happening, because I believe that you will get where not what you're saying, but what you're actually doing. So
Mm,
wherever you are spinning your wheels, where you know, whether it's you just talking or whether you're doing, that's what you're going to have.
hmm. Yes, sir. You're listening to Black Mental Health and Race. I am your host, um, MF Doug AF, and my co-host is Dr. Moore. We'll be right back after these messages. Hold on, brother. Hold on. Um, I'm trying to keep this in segments so that I can edit it quickly. I wanted to go on to talk about our main subject tonight, since we don't have that much time. Um, Nolan Wells. What do you know about this young 19-year-old brother who wound up deceased?
Um, Honestly, bro, I don't know a lot. Um, I've been following this case via um, brother minister Al Sharpton and the Nan
Yes, sir.
the Nan organization.
National Action Network. Shout out
Yeah.
to Reverend, and shout out to any and everyone. In particular, condolences to the family of Nolan Wells. He seems to have a well put together mother and father in terms of their mental strength during this difficult time. They seem to be pretty strong and determined to find out what happened to their son. We don't know yet what caused his death, and we just got the autopsy back, an independent autopsy on Friday. And what we do know is that the case has moved forward where the prosecuting office in Mississippi is going to put the evidence before or start to gather evidence for a grand jury to determine whether there's a case against anyone that may have contributed to his death. We still don't know that, or nor do we know if it's a racist motive um, connected to this case. But what we are certain of is that on this show, Black Mental Health and Race, what I wanted to discuss with Dr. Moore was people being outraged that we suspect something um, racist may have happened to him, being on a trip where he was the only black boy in his group. There were other black people on the island, Hope Horn Island, brother, like the devil's horn. But he was the only one in his group amongst his friends that was black, um, in the group that he came with. But that group left without him, took his cell phone. I guess it was still on the boat. I guess everybody left their phones on the boat. So there was nothing strange about that. But however, when the party that left him, although they came with him, they came back and said this party of people that he stayed on the island and was going to come back. He had made reservations to return later with another group because he wanted to talk to this girl. I found out the girl's name is McKinley. I forget the first name at the moment, but it was a white girl that he was interested in having further conversation with. According to the people that left him and the information that we have initially, and the reason that the sheriff, Leg something, I forget his last name, sheriff concluded that there was no evidence. Now, he said this, he died July 4th. They found his body July 6th. By the end of that week, they said that there was no evidence of this being anything other than a accident, accidental drowning. And that's when the mother and father um, started to disagree with the process of the investigation. They think that something may have happened to them. And so it became a public case, and it kept getting people on either side. Either something happened to them, or the side that says that we should be more cautious and not expect race. In fact, the side that are more progressive whites are on, Dr. Moore, they believe that it is outrageous to think that something racist happened to him just because he was with some white boys. In fact, they are outraged that black people will even think this way. And that's where I get to the crux of what we want to discuss tonight. So, whether you know about Nolan Wells or the case out in the audience, what I want to discuss is us. And so, the name of tonight's program is Nolan Wells Explaining Us. Do you, Dr. Moore, understand why black people, some black people, would think that something racist happens to him, had happened to Nolan Wells, given that story I just described? A black
Well,
boy missing in Mississippi.
well, let me make sure I understand your question.
Yes, sir.
Um, you're asking me, do I understand black people what?
Why black people would believe that a black boy that went out with white boys and the white boys come back and the black boy doesn't, that something racist may have happened to that boy.
Um,
If he's a black boy and this is a southern state, would it
well,
be too far um, um, beyond where we are as a nation in 2026 to believe that something racist happened to cause this boy to go missing?
yeah, absolutely, man. This country has never had any racism whatsoever.
And that's why I named the title Explaining Us. Like, white people have some nerve to be shocked that we would think this in 2026. They think that somehow they have cured racism to the point that we shouldn't think like this anymore.
I don't agree with that. I don't, unless you're being facetious. I don't think that white folks really believe that. I think that white folks would. It's almost like reverse psychology. Um, in that if you say that there's racism, then you're the racist,
Right. That's what
right?
we're being accused of.
Right. Yeah. So, you know, it's almost like you know you're racist, but if you call me what I am, then I'm gonna switch that on you, right?
Hmm.
So it's almost like the it's almost like the man that beats the woman, right?
Hmm.
But he blames her for making him beat her.
Yes, sir.
You know, so it's to say to black folks, it's insane for you to think that anything racist could happen. I mean, it's not like Dylan Roof didn't happen. It's not like Dylan Roof didn't come to a church,
Hmm.
in South Carolina and murder inside the church non-black parishioners who were
Hmm.
praying for you,
Hmm.
while you executed them.
Hmm.
So that wasn't racist. Racism, it doesn't, it exists, in this contemporary time.
Hmm.
So to say, you know, um, it, that if black people think that that's something that could possibly be in Mississippi, considering the history of Mississippi, you
Hmm.
know, that something could
The,
possibly
the
happen
the
like that.
same state that killed Emmett Till, who
Yeah,
came down from Chicago.
yeah.
Why would niggas think this?
Yeah.
It is funny to me that what I won't even say white people, some people, because there are black people that believe this too. Those same black people that believe that there's no such thing as racism today, and that slavery was something that occurred years ago, and we should let it go.
Yeah, I believe that people that talk like that and think like that, I believe those are people that don't read,
Hmm.
right? And they're very uninformed.
Hmm.
So,
Just like the people with the Malcolm X situation that you explained earlier, they have this notion, and everybody else has to be wrong. And so, in a perfect world in American society, our thoughts that something may be suspicious about his Nolan Wells' disappearance and ultimately found dead, us having any suspicion like that makes us racist and divisive, according to the main social media and media platform, platforms. It would be outrageous to think that something bad happened to him. Well, nevertheless, Dr. Moore, come to find out that the reason that the parents had a suspicion after the body was found was the cell phone wasn't returned to the family. So the mother was asking, where's his cell phone? She had to do her own tracking of the cell phone to find out that the very people that said he stayed to talk to a girl, they still had the phone. And only reason she knew that they had the phone is she tracked it. When you have a missing cell phone and it's on a family plan, you can see where that cell phone is. The people that came back at the 4:30 boat back to the main island in Mississippi had the phone, and all of his pictures were deleted from the phone mysteriously. And yet the sheriffs, who didn't think that that was going to be useful information, concluded in the first week of the after finding the body that this seems to be nothing but an accidental drowning. And that's when the outrage came on from black people like you and I. But this type of notion that something is suspicious about his death in Mississippi, where they killed 50 years ago, they killed Emmett Till, that type of thinking, Dr. Moore, is unacceptable.
No, really, bro, you live in
I
New York.
wanted us to explain in the last few minutes of this podcast. We got another 15 minutes to go for the hour is up. Why we are the way we are. And the one thing that I came up with is the trauma pattern awareness. We have over 400 years of this type of activity where a black person is in white spaces. And that pattern recognition of when people get put in a situation like that, we have this instinct in us that may not be in other people who haven't experienced the black experience, where we think that something may be wrong, something may even be racist about such a disappearance and ultimate death. And so we don't have to explain ourselves to no one, but we should understand what we're being accused of. Oh, y'all, you're trying to divide the country. Ain't nothing happened to that boy, but he accidentally drowned. To be dismissed like that is where our um, pushback should be heard.
Um, isn't that the place where Emmett Till was assassinated?
That is correct, sir. How could you think like I find it funny, brother. I'm still laughing. Like, are you people serious? Why would we think like that? You must not know about me. How the song go? You must not know about me.
Yeah,
Why wouldn't we think like that?
yeah. I don't know. I
And
mean,
and we don't need you to get it, white folks. We don't need you to get it. Even if you don't get it, we are going to think that way in 2026. We don't believe racism is over and that America has reached some um, equator or some type of line in the sand where we're a much better country. We don't believe that BS. You can convince other people of that. You can change the history books um, or have certain books banned, but we don't believe that internally. Our mentality is watch out for racist situations. If you have children and you are a parent of a black son or daughter, watch the places that you send them, not just for racist people. You have to watch where you send your children in the hood or where you send your children in the universities. Everywhere they go, they are marked targets. Now, some people don't want to think that way. They want to think more positive, and that I can't blame them for. But there was a black guy on Don Lemon's show talking about this issue, Dr. Moore. And this black boy was so naive that he said, we have to wait till the evidence come back. We shouldn't be thinking like this. This is unacceptable as black people. Black guys saying this for us to be accusing people. And I'm like, does he really? Has he ever been in a situation where he thinks that it's okay that a black man, 19 years old, should even if the cell phone issue wasn't known, and you heard this news, And you're saying a way to you accept the official story from the sheriff that this is an accidental drowning and we shouldn't be suspicious or cautious of it. But I'm talking too much, Dr. Moore. I wanted you to discuss us. And when I say us, not just you and I, but people like us that think that when we hear stories like this, it's okay to be suspicious of what happened to
You want me to speak to
who
why?
we are.
I don't know that I see it like that. I don't, because I don't put again who we are. We are not a we. We are not a monolithic people. We don't all think alike. We don't all have the same experiences, right? And
Mhm.
that's why I have a constant pushback, with you in terms of hoping or thinking that this we exists. There's no we that exists in terms of a monolithic thinking or experience when it comes to the black experience. Um, you and I, may have some agreements or some disagreements, but we could probably come to some type of solace at the end of the day based on our personal experiences or the similarities of our personal experiences, right? Um, so we may be able, for the most part, to um, agree on maybe 70, 80% of the things, or 90% of the things, after some conversation. But
Yes, sir.
um, I don't think it does us a service to talk about we as a black community um, being monolithic in the way that we understand things. Um, I'm never probably going to understand um, Clarence Thomas, you know, Armstrong Williams, um, uh, 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 Tim Scott, um, just a number of different black folks and their perspective about things. Because I don't think that they care to share that monolithic black experience. And I think we do ourselves a disservice, you know, um, even in this podcast of trying to reach or trying to bring together all black folks. I think that we do ourselves a better service um, to talk um, amongst ourselves. Ourselves meaning you and I, and sharing our perspective about something, as opposed to having a conversation trying to unite all black folks. Um, I I don't see the success um, or the benefit in that um, in being productive because I don't and that's just me. You might say different or differently, but I just think that we do ourselves a disservice. Um, or you would be very grandiose to think that um, that somehow all black folks would somehow listen to you and I and unite, in some shape, form, or fashion. Um, but his history has shown me that that's not realistic.
Yes, sir. I don't think that I was in. If I was, I think I may have done the message I was trying to convey at this service. If I made it seem like we're gonna all agree, I wanted to speak to the trauma recognition pattern of racist incidents happening to particularly black youth, young black men and women. losing their lives due to some racist incidents. We've had the Yusef Hawkins, the Michael Griffins, um, Sean Bell, some of the newer guys, Mike Brown and Sandra Bland, Sonia Massey. All of these incidents were racist incidents. Whether you agree that racism is still prevalent in 2026, I think that we can all identify with an issue, whether we agree to take one side or the other. That's what I wanted to talk about, not whether we agree or whether this is going to be his death, Nolan Wells' death, is going to be some unifying point for all Black people. I wouldn't even take that task on myself. I don't. I agree with you wholeheartedly that that is not going to happen, and not in the next 10,000 years. But I wanted to talk about why Black people would even fix their mouth to say that this is a racial incident.
Why would they not?
Right. That's my point. But you have people in mainstream media saying that that type of thinking is what keeps this country divided, rather than saying that what really keeps this country divided is that America hasn't worked on its racism.
Well, I think part of the problem that you're having is that you have to consider um, where and how you're receiving information today, right? So we're living in an era of social media. So a lot of what's being said and being reported is not coming from an authentic place and coming from a place of algorithms, I should say. So it's not even coming from a genuine place, but it's coming from a place that might generate, clicks and likes and things like that. So you have to consider, you really have to consider the source. People, um, if you're on social media and that's where you're seeing that, you have to be mindful of the platforms that you're on and who's saying what and why they are saying them, because they may not be saying that coming from a genuine place of concern. It may just be coming from a place wanting to get some clicks and likes and things like that. So and then you feeding into that feeds into what they are trying to get, which is your attention, your time, right? And so the more you spend your time trying to figure out why these people said what they said, some a lot of that isn't coming from a deep place, right? It's coming from a place of the new social media algorithm, right? And so this is what you say to get this response. And so there's these buzzwords now that everybody uses depending on the topic or the subject to get more attention, to come to their page, to respond to what they are saying, you know, what they're saying and what they're doing. So I would urge you to consider the source of who's saying that and why they're saying that. I think, you know, we could probably have a more genuine conversation if we live in a world of social media saying what they say. Because it's very hard to um discern how genuine a person is being on social media when they ask a question. Because you don't know if they're asking it from an authentic place, or if they're asking it to kind of generate resources and money.
I could care less about that aspect, because I don't pay too many people any mind. I focus on the people like myself that see this incident as a racial incident, and
Yeah,
that's all it is. Period. Who
yeah.
thinks otherwise? I wouldn't give 2 cents about. I'm about to curse, but what I wanted to discuss was the black people that think like me. I wanted to tell them in a message tonight that it's okay to think this way. 2026 did not change racism in America, nor will it change it in the next 200 or 500 years. It is not going to get better. That is why we have people like in organizations like the Nation of Islam, the Black Panther Party. It's because these things are not going to get better until we as black people do something, not do something for Nolan Wells, not do something for Yusef Hawkins, but do something for ourselves. And when I say that, Dr. Moore, I don't mean as a collective. You have convinced me, if I didn't know it already, that that's not going to happen. But our theme every week that we do have this podcast is self improvement. What can we improve about ourselves that when situations like this occur, Nolan Wells, Yusef Hawkins, that we are getting better rather than worrying about what other people think of our concepts or worrying about if we're going to seem racist if we believe as we do. At this point, it rolls off my shoulder what anybody damn thinks about what I think. I think that the situation was racist, period. And that's what I'm going to hold. And I don't care who don't like it.
And that's fine. I mean, you could feel that way. I think, um, for me, and what I've learned and what I'm learning, um, this country, it's racism is baked into the fiber of this country. You
Hmm.
know, Khalid Muhammad said this best. I don't know if it was Dr. Khalid Muhammad or Malcolm X. And if either one of them just repeated this, so I will give both of them the credit of where I got this information. But history rewards our research, right?
Hmm.
And what I mean by that is when you understand the history of this country and how this country came to be, July the 4th, 2026, this country celebrated 250 years, right? Um, and what we celebrated was 250 years of a social experiment.
Hmm.
Um, and this country is still very young in the social experiment and experience of um, doing something that no other country in the history of the world has done. And what I mean by that is um, this country broke away from England, from Great Britain, and they wanted to start. what they called a democracy, right? This democracy is not yet fulfilled. It is still an ongoing experiment and experience, right? And so what we have in this country um, is we did something that no other country, had done, where we said, we're going to come and we're going to form this union and we're going to have a democracy, right? And then under this democracy, we're going to have this thing called a constitution, right? And then this constitution, we're going to have like a bill of rights and things like that. And everybody is going to have rights. And we're going to have freedom of speech. And then we're going to have protection of freedom of speech, where you can have a gun and you can say whatever you want to say. And you can, and this Bill of Rights or whatever, all this Constitution, it was an ongoing process, right? So you had this number one thing was freedom of speech, and under freedom of speech, it just encompassed a lot, because what they wanted to not ever do again was have a king or queen, because they realized, coming from what they had come from, was shit. If we have a king or queen, we got to do everything that a king or queen says. We don't want
Mm.
that shit anymore. So under freedom of speech, not only could you just say shit against the government, you can say shit against anybody.
Mm.
And then you could have a gun to protect you, where that shit didn't exist anywhere else, right? So they started there, right? But even with them starting there, you know, even with them starting there, the Constitution continued to grow, because you got to remember that even when they were doing this, it was a work in progress. So we hadn't even got to the 13th Amendment, the 14th Amendment, the 15th Amendment, right? We hadn't gotten to that. So by the time we got to the 15th president, the country that they were creating was in shambles, right? It was in shambles. So they're creating this country, and the country collapses within, because they have slavery, right? The country is becoming extremely powerful because they have slavery, right? And what slavery is doing is it's taking this new country, and is making this new country, the United States of America, is making them a supreme power, like damn near overnight, right? Because slavery has free labor. So so they're doing things like with sugar and cotton and all this other stuff that no other country can do. So they're becoming a superpower nation, right? So
Mhm.
powerful that it's growing. The country then goes, mind you, this is a new nation. The nation goes from being agriculture to then, as the country is going and it's growing and it's expanding, it now, different parts of the country is becoming industrial,
That
right?
is correct.
So you got one part of the country that is agriculture. You got another part of the country that's becoming industrial, right? So people are migrating, right? And what I mean by migrating is people are leaving one place and they're going to another place, right? Because they understand that this agriculture shit is for the birds. They don't want to do that shit. They can go over here to this place that's becoming industrial, right? And they can make more money. They can have more freedoms, and all these things, right? So the country then collapses within itself, and they have a war, right? They have an internal war. It's never seen anything like this, because all the wars prior to this aren't happening on American soil. They're happening outside of American soil, right? But
Yes, sir.
now we're having a civil war, because the agriculture and the agriculture and the industry um, is conflicting. But the people that are in agriculture wanting to hold on to their agriculture, because that's their money, that's their bread and butter, right? But the people who are expanding over here in the industrial side of the world of the United States don't need they don't need slaves. It's not like they love them, right? But they don't need them for that because they aren't planting crops and shit like that. They're building plants and manufacturing areas and things like that. So they're like, we could care less. So now so the South and the North is having an internal conflict, right? So they're having this internal conflict and they go to war, right? And mind you, this still is an early nation. So we're only up to our 15th president, Brother Douglas.
Yes,
We're only
sir.
up. It's an early nation. We're only up to our 50. Now, mind you, right in contemporary day, we're up to what, our 47th, right?
Um, yeah, something like that.
So we
49th president.
no, this I think this is 47 because I think Barack was 44, and I think Trump was 45. I think Biden was 46, and I think Trump is 47. I mean, we can
Cool.
Google search it, right? But so anyway, I don't want to lose my point. Right? So we're up to the 15th president, right? In this country, still an early nation. And he's conflicted with the country dividing, right? The country is about to divide, right? And he doesn't want the country to divide because at this point, we aren't even um, a country, so to speak. We're kind of like, we're colonies. We're colonies, right? We're 13 colonies, but the 13 colonies are about to split. So this new young president doesn't want that to happen, right? So we're at war, and he's trying to hold the 13 colonies together, right? So, you and I both have very um, close relations and love and all that with South Carolina, right?
Yes, sir.
South Carolina during this turmoil is the first in the colony, it's the first one in this colony that wants to secede from the union, right? South Carolina says, fuck that. We don't want the federal government in our business. In fact, they hate the federal government so much they send to Washington D.C. a bucket of boats, right? Telling telling Washington D.C. don't screw around with us, right? They saying fuck that. We want to do our own thing and we don't want any involvement, from the Northerners telling us what to do with our slaves and all the rest of that shit, right? So all of this stuff is happening. Is happening in this country. Again, this is a whole social experiment. This has never happened in any other continent, nowhere else in the world, but this is happening, and the 13 colonies, what ultimately becomes the United States of America, right?
Mm-hmm.
So the country collapses within. They go to war because they have these slaves. They're making tons and tons of money. Places like South Carolina, Mississippi, man, New York ain't got shit on them. No other state has anything on any of these southern states. These southern states are booming. If you saw Mississippi and South Carolina and all those Alabama, those were the richest states ever, Brother Douglas. You know, at that time, right? Because of
Mm-hmm.
what they were doing, with slaves and cotton and cane and sugar and all of the stuff that they were doing with that, they were making tons and tons of money, right?
Right.
So they were like, "Fuck that, we need our slaves." So these northern states were like, "We don't really give a fuck about the slaves. We don't really need them." Right? But the slaves were seeing what was happening with the Union, and they were trying to secede, from the South and run over, to the North when this war started to happen. Again, an early nation, Brother Douglas. The nation is growing, so we go through that civil war. Some of the country, some parts of this country, never heals from that experience, right? They hold on to those great and mighty times of the South and what the South held and what it meant, and they pass that stuff on from generation to generation. So that's why I say that this is the history of this country. It will always be there. We're never going to escape racism. We're never going to that stuff is never going because it's ingrained in the history, you know, of the making of this nation, and this nation is still making, it's still growing. The problem that you have is that people don't read and people don't know history. And I don't know if I talk too much by going into all of this,
No.
um, you know, but I was just trying to give some insight into when you ask the question about why some black people see this as racism, why some black people don't, why people call people racist who see it this way. Because when you understand the history of the country, you understand why, some people see it this way, some people don't, and why this will always be an ongoing argument and debate, and depending on where you want to fall into this, whether it will benefit you or not benefit you, because you can make money off it, you know from one perspective, you can heal from it from another perspective, but the real perspective is to understand the foundation and the history of this country, and the country is still a new nation and it's still growing, and we're in the midst of a social experiment and experience. If any of what I'm saying has made any sense at all.
It makes a lot of sense. I think there's a clarification though with the colonies. The colonies were when the country was back in the 16, 1700s, when the Civil War began in 100 years later in 1868. 100 years later, we were beyond colonies. We had states. We had all the way up until Louisiana, or all the way to California by then.
Well, we had the Emancipation Proclamation in 63
68.
through no, 63 through
Right,
1863 to 1865. So I think like the southern states didn't really find out about emancipation until it happened in 1863, but they didn't find out until like 1865, right?
right,
So when we start talking about the 13 colonies, that there were colonies all prior to that.
right,
Prior to that, they were called the 13 colonies,
right.
right?
And by the
Um,
time of the Civil War, there were over 48 states.
yeah, well, they were states, but they what do you call them states? But they still were part of the colonies.
Right.
Um,
They started from there. They
yeah,
started from the
right,
colonies,
right.
but they had progressed by the time of the Civil War.
So yeah, because like I said, South Carolina was a state, and they
Right.
wanted to
And
secede.
you are correct.
Right.
They had a lot of money. These southern states had plenty of money, but what the what industrialization of United States did was it transferred that money from the rich southern states to now where they didn't need slaves in the north. They were doing industrial work like making cars, making products, and all types of machines. That's where the north got richer than the south.
Yeah, not only the North but the Midwest also. So you have
Right,
places like Detroit, you
right,
know, who had like the Ford plants and things like that.
right,
They started creating like those different industrial plants, and
right.
up north and in the Midwest. And so there were a lot of people that were migrating from the South, Alabama, Mississippi, going to
Exactly. That's
places
where the
like
migration came
right.
from.
And it's
There were
actually called
greater
the Great.
opportunities in the north.
Yeah, it's actually it actually called the Great Migration.
Right.
When you
And
read
that's
through.
where they migrated to states like Illinois and Michigan.
Well,
Detroit is in Michigan, and Chicago is in Illinois.
right.
And New York was another one of the big states that they migrated from the South. All of these states is where that migration, not only of white people, but black people wanted their freedom so that they could, or even if they couldn't get their freedom, they knew that if they came to the North, it wasn't the same type of dynamic as in the South.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely, absolutely. And so the Great Migration had more to do with not whites moving um, to these places, but blacks moving to these places for greater opportunities um, for themselves, so that they wouldn't be working in tobacco fields and picking cotton and and things like that, and they could make more money um, in these northern states.
And that
Um,
was called the Reconstruction era, right after
well,
slavery.
so the Reconstruction era, it's a little different in that the Reconstruction era, depending on what we're talking about. But for me, the Reconstruction era goes more into the political arena than the Great Migration of Black people moving from the South to the North for for industry. So the Reconstruction era, and the way that I was taught, um, we went from what happened in terms of politically. You had Black folks who got involved in politics that had never been able to get involved in politics ever, right? And so that's where we get oh my God. Um
Reconstruction.
yeah, not reconstruct. Yeah, reconstruction. But I was trying to think of names of Robert Smalls, people like Robert Smalls. In the Reconstruction era, all those
Mm.
people that got involved and became senators and things like that, and then how they dismantled that Reconstruction era. With when they saw Black people, getting in power politically. That Reconstruction era is different from. I don't want to merge the two in terms of Reconstruction and the Great Migration, because those are two different. Those are two different timelines for Black folks.
Yeah, but I think the point that we're both trying to make, even though we're using different examples, is that it's okay to think that something happened to Nolan Wells, no matter what you believe, and nobody, whether it be social media or whether it be the actual news media, should make you feel bad for thinking that something happened to this boy. That's my conclusion, and I'll give you the last word on it, Dr. Moore.
Well, yeah, I mean, I don't, I don't know why a person would feel bad. I don't know why someone would allow social media to make them feel any kind of way. I, Social media to me is almost comical, and I always joke with you about um,
Hmm.
your algorithms and what shows up on your social media feed. But I mean, if what's problematic is if social media is the only place you're getting your information, there's going to be a problem. That's a problem for you. If you don't have any other way of doing research, um, and you are feeling bad because social media is making you feel some kind of way, I'm gonna ask you to I'm gonna ask you to deplug from social media.
Unplugged.
Yeah, you need to disconnect, because social media shouldn't have that much power over the way that you feel and the way that you think.
Get some dissonance.
Yeah.
Well, to the audience, we want to thank you for listening to an explanation, because Dr. Moore promised not to say anything about Nolan Wells, because I didn't want to seem like only thing I could focus on his death, because there are a lot of young black men dying for other reasons that we need to address. So I didn't even want to discuss this, but I said if we are going to discuss it, let's explain who we are, not necessarily for unity, but just for our mental health. Let's define who we are and why we think the way we do. Just like we thought this way about Emmett Till, and they tried to say that he just disappeared, and it came to fruition that he did not just disappear. That someone took him in the night, and his body wasn't found until what, 3 days later. This is a unsettling recurring pattern, along with the history that Dr. Moore has tried to break down to you in America. And the fact that some of us who understand this history and understand the past of these recurring traumatic occurrences, we are in our right. I don't give a damn what nobody say. You are not racist. You are not um, some bad person for thinking that something happened to Nolan Wells. And we hope that the family is able to find out exactly what happened to him, because as it stands now, there's too much uncertainty when we know that those people left him on that island, whether they left by his consent or their own reasoning that they had to leave, is not the issue here. The issue is what happened to Nolan Wells. And we hope that this discussion tonight will give you the weaponry you need for anybody that tells you you're racist or you're being divisive for thinking like that. We have a justification and a history that shows that their justification for thinking that something racist happened to this boy in Mississippi. Your thoughts, Dr. Moore, as we close.
No, I don't think I need to add anything to that.
Land
Yeah,
this plane, brother. Oh, we got to talk about Chud the Builder, but I need to stop the recording so that I can put this one segment by itself. But do the last word on this before we go to Chud the Builder, your boy.
I don't know who chose the bill is.
I'm gonna
Um,
tell you, you need to change your algorithm, son.
mm,
You're gonna have to know who this nigga is. Well, finish this out right quick. Then we go to him for 2 minutes. It ain't gonna take but 2 minutes to talk about Chud. Finish out
no,
your last statement on Nolan Wells.
no. I mean, I spoke extensively about how I felt about Nolan Wells and the history of this country. I don't have anything really to add about um, if you feel bad or if you feel like someone is making you feel bad because you think there's something racist happened. I think you need to check yourself.
Hmm.
You know, um, if you walk like a duck, if you talk like a duck, is a duck. Um, I don't think there's anything deep about that. If you think that something racist happened, it's because something racist happened, right?
And it has been happening for the last 500 years.
Yeah, and And if someone is making you
Nobody, and
feel,
you ain't got to explain that shit to nobody. I'm talking to the audience, Dr. Moore, not you.
yeah. So if someone is making you or attempted to make you feel bad, I would ask you to probably check them,
Right.
because they're the one that's probably feeling uncomfortable. So they're
Hmm.
trying to make you feel uncomfortable.
Hmm.
So I personally don't think it's that deep. You have a right to feel that way.
Hmm.
If you don't feel that way, you don't feel that way. Maybe you're
Right.
just that maybe
And
you're just
that's
that
okay
naive.
too.
Yeah, maybe you're just that naive, and you feel like you haven't experienced that. But
No, they're looking for white heaven, brother. I told you I got the solution, Dr. Moore. We marry white women and have children for 7 generations, and we wouldn't be having to worry about no racist shit ever again.
yeah, that makes no sense.
7 generations of white women, brother, would turn all your family white.
Yeah, I don't know how that cures
Then you
racism.
can go back to South Carolina as the boss. You can go back as the boss. What
Yeah,
what you say? What saying, boss?
yeah. Well, you might have 7 generations in your family, but there's another 7 generations that won't be.
7 generations of crackers.
Yeah, yeah. Good luck
You
with that
have
one.
a box of premium saltines, brother. Now
Yeah.
let's get
Well,
on this damn subject. It's like so we can close this out. We don't mean to laugh at Nolan Wells, and we're not laughing at him, but it's funny how people think that we need a justification for who the hell we are. We are who we are, whether you like it or not. Is irrelevant to me. Dr. Moore may have a little more compassion for you, but I don't. Something happened to that boy, and we want to find out what that is. Dr. Moore, let me close out this segment. You're listening to Black Mental Health and Race, and we'll be right back after these messages. All right, one more segment and we gone, brother. You got enough time?
uh,
Your wife is gonna choke you in the morning, brother.
no, I'm good, bro. Go ahead.
All right,
I got a few minutes.
and we're back. You're listening to Black Mental Health and Race. I am your host, MF Doug AF, and my co-host is Dr. Moore. Welcome back, Dr. Moore. We are in season 6, episode 1. Now, don't expect these episodes to be coming weekly or even monthly. It's when we do have time, and hopefully, we say something that will last you a lifetime. Welcome back, Dr. Moore.
Peace to God.
Have you ever heard of Chud the Builder?
No.
Oh, it's this racist white guy going around, and he takes his phone camera, his smartphone, and he does the selfie routine on video, and he either goes live or posts it later, where he stands next to a black guy to see if he can provoke him into attacking. And what he does is he either has his mace with him, or since it's the state of Texas, good old state that you might like to move to, Dr. Moore, the good old state of Texas. He stands next to black guys. Sometimes there's more than one black guy. That's how bold this guy, Chud the Builder, is. So he stands next to him with his camera, and he said, "Nigga," just to see who reacts. What do you think of this guy? I find that shit funny, brother. And next thing you know, after going through a whole bunch of black people, he finds somebody that's triggered by this shit. And then he says, looks like you simping out. You know what simp means? He's chimping out and he's recording this shit. And you hear the guy in the background going, man, I'll fuck you up, put the camera down. And that's how he gets his content. But like you said, if that's coming into my feed, maybe I need to unplug the feed. But this is just what been happening to me. But this guy got famous. He has over some million amount of views, subscribers. But this is go back to the point that I was trying to make about Nolan Wells. We still live in a racist America, whether you want to believe it or not, is irrelevant. Because for that type of content to get so many views shows you the um, the content of people's character in America, as Dr. Martin Luther King was trying to say. We won't be judged by the color of our skin. We'll be judged by the content of our character. Your initial thoughts on that, Dr. Moore? We're gonna try to make this one quick. What do you think of somebody that does that?
Bro, I'll be honest.
You got an Usher concert to go to.
I mean that's just so it's just so foolishness to me.
Well, did you
Um,
go to the BET Awards or to Obama's opening?
did I go?
Yeah.
No, no, but I did see it. I did watch it.
I,
Uh,
I might go check out Obama's thing. But
it, it was really that was really good. It was really great.
I think
Um,
what you said at the beginning of the podcast about the places you've been, that they may be important in this subject of Chud the Builder, and that's why I mentioned them. Um, it would give the audience a suggestion on how to ignore people like Chud the Builder if you got other relevant things to do in life. So just because Dr. Moore doesn't know even as famous as Chud the Builder is now for what he does, do you know that he shot somebody and damn near killed a black man in
I, I,
front of a courthouse,
I know,
recording one of these incidents?
I know absolutely nothing about this or about this
Well,
person.
this is how the story developed, and that's how the whole nation knows about him, except for you and other people that have better things to do in life. But I'm trying to show the juxtaposition of where we should be if we had all of our ducks in a row. Not that you're living your best life, Dr. Moore, but the fact that you don't even know about this is a good thing. I think what we try to promote on this show, Black Mental Health and Race, is that we don't need to pay attention to the chud the builders, except for we watch out for ourselves that we don't run into these type of people. But I'm going to let you briefly talk about your reaction to what I just said.
I think you're responsible for everything that you allow to come into your life,
Mm,
right?
teach on it.
So, the fact that you would say that this person is, nationally known or whatever, um, it says that you and I live in two different universes. Because
Dr. Moore, you're simping out.
I'm doing what?
You imagine, Dr. Moore, this motherfucker, the balls on this motherfucker. But that ain't the end of the story, Dr. Moore. Finish your point so that I can tell you how the story ends.
But I don't care how the story ends, honestly.
You gotta
I
care because this is so funny.
Bruh, that sounds like such a waste of time and energy.
I want you to, after this show ends, Dr. Moore, I want you to do one Google search.
I promise you I won't. I promise you I won't.
You're
I,
gonna
I
want
don't.
to do it after I tell you how this
Bruh,
story
I
ends.
I don't want that type of
You don't
algorithm.
want it in your mind. You hear that, folks? Out in the audience? He doesn't even want it in his mind. The foolishness that we accept and we start to argue with each other over.
I, that I can't imagine arguing about that. But I can't even imagine wasting, time in my day doing that. What?
So wait a minute. Here's how the story goes, Dr. Moore. White people are saying that we have to protect his freedom of speech, even if he's being offensive, and his right to carry and shoot somebody. All up until the time that he actually shot somebody. Then white people were saying, and this is not all white people, but this is how these divisive content becomes a part of how we start arguing back and forth with each other as a nation, and people pick sides. But all up until he actually shot a guy, this was funny to everybody. I think it's funny now that he damn near killed this black guy. But guess what? He shot himself in the course of trying to shoot the black guy that he provoked. But the story doesn't end there, Dr. Moore. Come to find out, now he's going to be facing up to 65 years in jail unless he can prove that it was self-defense. And the state of Texas has a self-defense stand your ground rule, which brings us to what's the young boy's name? Martin, Trayvon Martin. The person that got off in that case used the defense of stand your ground in Florida against Trayvon Martin, and he served no time for that. So when we said in the prior segment that um, we have to be aware that the way we think is a survival mode. It's something that we need to keep in the back of our minds, just in case something goes down and you need to make a decision on whether you're going to hang out with certain people or not. And that goes for not just racist white people, but um, being in the hood could get you killed like that as well. But what we want you to do on this podcast is to think about the decisions you make and the things you allow to enter your mind. But I'm going to finish my story for Dr. Moore because he hadn't heard about this. It's going to get even worse, Dr. Moore. Even after facing all of this time, they revoked his bond. The judge said, no, I saw the videos that you made and how you tried to provoke these people. And now that you've actually shot somebody, you're claiming self-defense. Your bond is $1,500,000, which means that you got to come up with at least $50,000 to get out. So you know that white folks started a GoFundMe and they came up with the money to get him out of jail. He didn't get out of jail because something that the judge said, you can't accept that money. You can't raise money for what you did and use that money to get out of jail. So he's still in jail and he's crying now. He's facing over 60 years. But he said that he started chimping black guys so that because he lost his job because he complained about a black woman and she got him fired off his job. Come to find out that this nigga is allowing women to peg him. You know what pegging means?
Yeah.
He's allowing this black woman to peg him. So she shows up one day while he's doing one of his videos. And she says, I used to peg you. I know you. You're not racist like this. What are you doing this for? So everybody thought that it was part of the skit in the video. Come to find out, this motherfucker is as soft as you and me, brother. This nigga is soft as jelly, brother. But he played like a big bad guy, even shot somebody like a big bad guy. But now he's gonna have to prove who he is in jail. I thought the story and how it ended was so funny. Be careful what you ask for. And on that note, Dr. Moore, I know you may not want to respond to this, but I'm gonna give you the last word.
How much money did you make off of doing this research?
Like you said, brother, it just came in my feed. I found this whole story fascinating until he shot somebody. And everybody was like, whoa, you took it too far. You was making money, having a good time. What happened? Be careful what you ask for.
Be careful where you spend your time, bro.
That's your final word. You sticking to it?
Yeah, bro. I have absolute after all of that time that you just spent telling me this story, I have absolutely no desire to look this up, to spend one iota of giving this guy or whoever.
Your wife later, not now. Has she ever heard of Chud the Builder?
I promise you, she hadn't.
I know your son did.
Listen. If he did, he's smart enough not to bring it up to me. And I can tell you, in the circles that I run, I've never heard that name before.
When you go to the barber shop the next time, ask anybody, did they ever heard of Chud the Builder?
I'm not going to embarrass myself by asking that question. Because the thing will be, well, why do I know about him?
Ellen, because Brother Douglas says
No, 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 no.
I wanted to show the people the difference between you and me. And why I stay in trouble. I stay in trouble, brother, because I haven't learned the lesson that you tried to teach me.
Yeah. The
Brother,
fact that
change your circles.
the fact that you find that entertaining is scary. You know, it sounds like one of those people that says, I don't know why I keep running into the same guy. I don't know why I keep dating the same people. You know, it's like, yeah, because you're the same person. You know, and to somehow think that they are going to get something different when they're doing the same thing is mind blowing.
Like you have your degree and I don't. I keep getting distracted like a mother.
Yeah, and the thing is, you're looking for distractions, and you like distractions.
Lord have mercy. Help us all, Dr. Moore.
Mm-hmm.
Help us all. And on that note, I'm going to let you land this plane. And what have you learned, brother, from all that I taught you tonight?
To mind my good black business.
The end. Good night.
God bless and good night.
Assalamu alaikum.
Peace to the God.
Peace to the universe. I'm going to call you right back, brother. Peace.
Peace.